button. And yes, we're live. Yes, we're live. So you have the floor, ma'am. I've also made you co-host, I believe. Please unmute your mic.
Okay, so in Arumbangwell, good evening, everyone. Good evening. All the moms and dads in the house. I'm greeting each and every one of you. Good evening, everyone. All right, first and foremost, I must appreciate you as a parent for going out of your way to be in this meeting. In fact, that shows that you are quite intentional about your journey with your girls, and trust me, that is amazing. Yes, you are doing a great job. You are doing amazingly well, and I congratulate you. All right, having said that, first I won't forget to appreciate our facilitators yesterday night. She did, in fact, she laid a foundation for me. So I found her class so interesting, and she did part of my work, and I celebrate her. If she's in the group, if she's listening to me this evening, I appreciate you, ma. All right, so this night we'll be looking at the topic, how your relationship with your daughter affects her self-esteem. How your relationship with your daughter affects her self-esteem. And having done the topic, I will start with this quote by Nathaniel Branden, who is one of the father of the self-esteem movement. He said something, and that is, there is no single psychological issue such as anxiety, depression, underachievement at work, or school, fear of intimacy, happiness, or success that is not at least partially traceable to the issue of low self-esteem. Let me take that again. He said, there is no psychological issue such as anxiety, depression, underachievement anywhere that is not, and of course, other things, fear of intimacy and other ones, that is not at least partially traceable to the issue of low self-esteem. So when you're talking about low self-esteem, it's quite a huge problem, not just to our girls. Of course, as adults, we must have known that by now. So not just for our girls, but for every human being living under heaven is a big problem. And if we are able to tackle these issues in the life of our girls as they are growing up, it will go a long way to shaping them to become who God has created them to be. Now, when you talk about self-esteem, I mentioned yesterday that our speaker yesterday did justice to my notes yesterday. So, but I would still thought one or two things that she has already said. So, when you talk about self-esteem, you are talking about one's personal evaluation on how valuable and worthy they are. So when you're talking about self-esteem, you're talking about the way we evaluate ourselves, the way we see ourselves, the way we see ourselves valuable or worthy. So another thing is, when you're talking about low self-esteem, you're talking about our opinion, the opinion we have about ourselves. In my note here, I said, it's our own truth about ourselves. It's our own truth about ourselves. So we're talking about self-esteem. We're talking about your own truth about yourself. How do you perceive yourself? Are you worthy of honor? Are you worthy of love? Are you worthy of happiness? So look at self-esteem is your own truth about yourself. Now, when we're talking about self-esteem, the other point I want us to hold very tight is self-esteem is a continuous development, is progressive. It's not something you achieve once, right? So it's something that we can help our children. It's a foundation, talking about this class, based on what we are here for tonight, is a kind of one of the healthy foundation we are expected as parents to lay for our girls in order for them to have a life that is worthwhile, right? A life that God has made for them. So, self-esteem is not just something that begins any time of one's life. It starts from birth. It starts from birth. Now, another thing I want us to note about self-esteem is it includes one's confidence. It includes one's confidence in their ability. Now, what that means is self-efficacy. And I'm also buying that from Nathaniel Brandy. He said that self-esteem, when we talk about self-esteem, it's always, this foundation is embedded in two concepts. So number one is self-efficacy. Your ability, the confidence you have in your ability, the confidence you have in what you can do. And number two is self-respect. And that is you seeing yourself as you deserve love, you deserve to be loved, and you deserve to be happy. He said, let me go through that again. He said, number one, when you talk about self-esteem, it is based on one's self-efficacy and one's self-respect. You have the confidence you have in your own ability and the belief you have that you are worth love. You are worthy of love and happiness. Now, another thing I also want us to note about self-esteem is self-esteem is one of the psychological needs of every human being. Someone said that for every human being, three things are important to them. Number one is love. Number one is love. Number two is acceptance. And number three is respect. Number one is love. Number one is acceptance. Number two is love, appreciation rather. And then number two is respect. He said that if you are able to give any human, no matter the kind of mind you feel that person possesses, some people we see them as hardened or something. So he said, no matter the kind of person that person is, if you offer that person love, if you offer that person respect, if you offer that person appreciation, you have met almost all the need of that person. But it's the basic need apart from the food, clothing, shelter, and other things. He said, if you offer any human being love, appreciation, and respect, you have given that person what they need to survive. Because it's in love that you find hope. No matter the kind of love someone offers to you will give you the life that there is hope, even if the person is hopeless, right? So moving forward, because we didn't have a limited time, so I need to rush. Another thing another topic I want us to look into tonight is relationship and guilt. Remember, our topic is how your relationship with your daughter affects her self-esteem. We have been able to touch self-esteem. Now, let's look into relationship and guilt. How does guilt see relationship as individuals, right? How guilt see relationship as a gender, Okay, let's look into that now. Number one thing I want us to know is relationship basically talks about connection. So we're talking about relationship. What we are talking about for a girl is you are talking about connection. You are talking about love. You are talking about acceptance. You are talking about bond. You are talking about validation. You are talking about interest. There should be a place where you guys have the same interest. You are talking, or you as a parent being interested in what interests them, or the other way around, right? So the next thing, the idea define relationship as attention. You're talking about care, to have relationship with care, to have relationship with interaction, right? So when you're talking about relationship for a girl child, it's beyond it's beyond I'm a friend with you, or it's beyond I'm your parent. It has to do with love, acceptance, it has to do with validation, it has to do with interaction, it has to do with attention, it has to do with care, and all that. So the next thing I also want us to note about relationship and girls is human beings are, of course, relational beings. However, both genders connect differently. While boys' relationship is often competitive in nature, girls are interaction based. They care more about your mutual connection. So to a boy child, relationship is competition, more or less like competition, right? They see it as a place to exercise their feet, like you can do this, I can do this. That is their joy that they connect with you. Now, for a girl, just like I've mentioned before, relationship has to do with connection, intimacy. Please, if you are following me, I want you to comment on the voice. Let me be sure that I'm not just talking to myself. Hello, can anyone hear me?
Very clearly, yeah, we can hear you, ma'am. We can hear you.
Okay. All right, so the next point is, according to research, it shows that compared to boys, girls are more stressed over interpersonal relationship problems. It can cause them depression, right? Now, when we talk about relationship and girl, you know, a girl and relationship, to her, interpersonal relationship problem, you know, has a way of stressing her compared to a boy child. A boy child, something can happen, they can distract themselves with something and life goes on. But with a girl, she will carry it on top her head. She see that you have rejected her. She see that you are no longer interested in connecting with her. It can cause her anxiety, it can cause her depression, and to that extent, she can even begin to consider suicide. Just because, have you not heard stories where a girl or someone something just because they are having their relationship difficulty, right? Conflict. So when you talk about relationship to a girl child, when there is any issue in between, it's often a big problem for her. Now, another thing I want us to look into is a girl can go all her way to win a relationship that she really cares about. Now, in one of our programs, someone said something that she was counseling a girl, and this particular girl was dating a philosopher. So when she was trying to make her see how unhealthy this relationship is to her, she said that the boy is married, that can do anything to preserve that relationship, that she's so much, the boy so much love her and all that. Why? Because she has perceived a sense of love. And so she can do anything to hold on to that relationship. She can do anything to hold on to that relationship. And according to research showed something that most girls, not all, but most of the girls who strive so much academically, most of them do that to maintain a relationship. That most of them strive to, maintain a relationship or to gain a relationship. So you see that sometimes it's not just that she's intelligent and she wants to give in her best. It could be something beyond that she wants to keep making her daddy proud. She wants to keep making her parents proud. She wants to be the preferred one among the teachers. She wants to be talked about, right? So a girl can go all her way to preserve a relationship. The next one is, it has been discovered that the type of relationship we model to our girls determine how they relate with God and how they relate with any other individuals in their life. Now, this is quite deep, but I will try as much as possible to, explain that. Growing up, it has been shown that some individuals or all human beings end up adopting some certain kind of attachment because of the way they are being cared for, rather. Now, to a child who receives love, attention from the parents, growing up, he or she will perceive their parents perceive other individuals as the same as what their parents offered to him or her. Now, unlike a child who was abandoned when she was growing up, unlike a child whose parents dismiss their emotions, like growing up, that's under dismissive avoidance and type of attachment. So when that child is not able, when that child's emotional needs are not met when they were growing up, they will see it as that is how either God is, and that is how others is, right? Even, of course, we know that some people can be told this, right? But the kind of attachment we are able to form with our child, the relationship we are able to build with our children, we help them see that, okay, this our God is not a wicked God. This our God is someone that even when you make mistakes, he is still there with you. He is still there with you, ready to accept you back. That they will see that other people are not that wicked, right? So depending on the kind of relationship we build with our children, they will carry the same thing to their relationship with God. And they will also carry it into relationship with people. So we might want to take that to heart. So the next one is relationship works well. Relationship works better in correcting our girls. Some of us, especially those of us that are parenting teenage girls, if at all you really want to get that out, learn to build relationships. You can make connections, be the basics of your correction. So let it not just be rules, right? While that is okay, you might want to consider, first of we want to consider hearing from that out before, dishing out the correction. Another thing I also want us to note about relationship and girls is research shows that a child tends to succeed in life when they have an involved parent. So when you are involved in the life of your girl, of course, most of us, if you are here, I celebrate you for that, because being here is a sign that you are really involved, right? So the fact shows that a child succeeds more when their parents are involved in their life, when the parents are involved in their life, when they are not being left to sort out life by themselves. Please, if you are still hearing me or if you are still following me, please let me know.
Very well, ma'am. Very well. Very well.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. All right. So the next thing I want us to look into is how do we improve our relationship with our girls as we build their self-esteem? I'm wrapping up. How do you build your girls' self-esteem from the standpoint of your relationship with her? Before I mention that, remember I said something about being involved as parents. As parents, it is important that we know the thin line between being too involved and not being involved, right? Being too involved and being involved. Now, when you are too involved, is a problem, right? When you are too involved in your girl's life, of course, I'm coming to that, we'll explain that better, is a problem. So you might want to watch that. Now, how do you build your girl's self-esteem from the standpoint of relationship? Number one is understand her peculiarity. Understand her peculiarity. Yesterday, our speaker did justice to this. She talked about temperament and other things. Number one, understand her peculiarity. Understand her strengths. Understand her weaknesses. Understand what impresses her. Understand her strengths. Understand her love language. What is love to her? So number one thing is understand your girl. Know her, right? Understand her. If you're able to do that, you wouldn't, it will give you an edge to, it will give you an edge in your relationship with her. Number two thing I want us to look into is get familiar with what stage of life she is into. Get familiar with what stage of life she's into. Some time ago, so I had this, difficulty with one of my child. So when I went on to do some research about his age group, I was able to understand something. They were like, okay, these things are normal, right? So understand her, what stage of life she is. Understand what stage of life she is. Now, from birth to 5-year-old, is the discovery stage. Here, the authority, she wants to know everything. She wants to know what the rules, the regulations, how you react about things and other things. Number two is from 5 to 11 is the adventure stage. Here, the experiment with something you might hardly, after them having differentiate between them and a boy, because they might want to attend what boys are doing and other things. So the next one is 12 to 15 analytic stage. Here is a full-blown adolescent, and you might need to know that at this point they might have might be critical about themselves, about others, right? So the next one is 15 to 15. This is an autonomous stage where they take responsibility about themselves, their lives, of course, of people around them too. They want to get involved in the responsibilities. So the next one is, under our point now. The third one is practice guided freedom. Practice guided freedom. I'm rushing now. I just have very few minutes to wrap this here. Practice guided freedom. Here, you give yourself freedom, to make choices. You give yourself, give up freedom to attend things, not just her. You might want to be there to guide her. You might want to be there to watch her. You might want to be there to help her. Now that you are helping her make the choice, but you are guiding her on what to do and what not to. And sometimes you might want to just let her do everything by herself. So the next one is schedule individualized time out with her often. Where you just you and her sit to talk. If you have 3 girls, you might want to do that. Find a way to create that time for each and every one of them, so that they can have this individualized love that is, okay, mommy acknowledges me, not just us as her children. So the next one is separate her from her misbehaviors. Learn how to separate her from her misbehaviors. So, for example, maybe she went to the fridge and take something. Does not mean that she's a thief, right? You might want to separate her from her behavior. She's not a thief because she stole, right? She might have reasons why she did what she did. So learn how to separate her from her behavior. This will also help you not to always, tell her things, open your mouth to laugh her when she misbehaves. Then the next one is be emotionally available. Be emotionally available as a parent. Be emotionally available to her. Know when she is down. Know when she needs her space. For those of us parenting children, it's not all the time that you are asking your girl what's going on. Sometimes you might want to allow her to process her feelings first. You might give her the space to talk to you as a convenience, right? So the next one is pay attention to what interests her or both of you. What is it you guys share in common? What is it that you guys share in common? Take advantage of that. Another thing I also want to talk on under this is sometimes we as parents have a way of, criticizing our girls' friends. For example, maybe she comes home to say that this particular friend is this, that, and that, and then we are quick to tell her to separate yourself from this thing. She's not good for you. Another thing. Research has shown that doing that helps them to even draw more closer to that friend. So come from the point of empathy, and then you give your suggestion. Say that if you are parenting a single, right? So let me rush through others. My time is up. Appreciate her little efforts and wins. Lots of affirmations and help will go a long way. Help her to discover God's love. Help her to discover who God is for herself. Help her to discover God's love. It will help her to hang on with her relationship and self-esteem. So in conclusion, the best way to get a quote said, the best way to get yourself to listen to you is to develop a meaningful relationship with her without judgment and anger. Then the last one I said, the greatest gift a parent can give a child is self-confidence. The greatest gift a parent can give their child is self-confidence. On this note, I hand over to Madam Irene. Thank you so much, Ma, for this opportunity. God bless you. I hope I've been able to do justice to the topic.
Yes, you have.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Coach Esther. Thank you. One of the mistakes I made with this family meeting is having 4 speakers. So next family meeting, we'll do only 2 people per time so that everyone takes the time to speak well, answer questions. It's our first experience. Forgive us. We get to do better during the next family meeting in October. Thank you so much, Coach Esther. I learned so much myself. You know, one of the things I heard from you was recognize the stage that your child is in and know when the extent of involvement that she needs per time. I think that is something we all need to know, because sometimes we want to treat teenagers like they are toddlers. And that's the stage where they're trying to, you know, express some level of independence. So I want to thank you very much for coming out. I want to thank everyone that joined us tonight. We're so excited. So Coach Esther, I'll just like to appeal to you to just hang out for the entire meeting if it's possible. I want to bring up Coach Ade Jones now, and then I'll come up. Then afterwards, we can answer questions. I had actually asked people to drop questions during the course of the meeting. I didn't see any questions, so please do well to drop them. So Coach Esther will be taking notes, and when we're doing Q&As at the end of the day, you'll be able to come back right up. So Coach Ade Jones, are you ready for us? So let me put you on the, yep. We're ready to meet the only male speaker for this family meeting. What's written on your shirt? After God, now my wife. I don't know what's at the bottom, but I don't know why I feel that it is my, now my family.
God, now my family.
Now my family. Welcome, Coach Ade Jones. We're happy to have you. So you have the floor now, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, ma'am. I'm so excited to be a part of this family meeting. I've been blessed all through yesterday, right from Coach Herring, and then
Enimian, yes,
Coach
Enimian, yes.
Yes, thank you so much, and Coach Esther. Thank you so much. I feel blessed that I'm part of this conversation. For the time I have, I'll be sharing on how parents trauma impacts their girl child, or the esteem of the girl child. Before I start, please let me know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Okay, awesome. So let me start
from my end. I
way.
can.
The average girl child is groomed to struggle with her esteem. The average girl child is groomed to struggle with her esteem, right from culture to religion to social institutions. They are designed to make the girl child feel less of human. When we pay attention to the media, we realize that the messages the media sends are constantly directed to make the girl child feel she is inadequate and below par. So if someone tells me, why you dey waka like girl? Or why are you talking like a girl? The person is not saying, I am talking like the other gender. The person is saying, you are talking below the standard you are supposed to talk. So our culture is designed to majorly make the girl child feel, no, in the scheme of things, you are not here, but you're here. Multi-billion-dollar industries are built just to make the girl child feel, no, something is wrong with you. Right? So when we talk about the entertainment industry, the beauty industry, just name it, these are industries that are feeding on the narrative about the girl child feeling she's inadequate. So she has to do X, Y, Z to feel more like someone who is adequate. Now, this is what we are battling with as parents. Now, in all this conundrum, the girl child is poised to face and then to navigate. As a parent, you can't afford to be one of those people that constantly pokes and depletes the esteem of the girl child. You can't afford to be one. Rather, you should be the parent that is there to be the heaven that upholds her, that makes her feel, despite the information you hear, despite the narrative you get from culture, from religion, from institutions that are designed to subjugate you and make you feel you are below par, listen, watch from me. You are worth it. You are adequate. And there is a place for you. There is a place for you. However, we can only do that as parents when we walk through our own trauma experiences, re-engineer our experiences, understand what our trauma experiences are, then model what the girl child needs to know and understand to have the right sense of high esteem. And in the course of this conversation, because the time frame we have is short, I will share 5 trauma imprints that every parent who is raising a girl child will need to pay attention to, evaluate, then re-engineer. Just 5 simple trauma imprints. The first trauma imprint for tonight we'll be looking at is what I call, or what is called, parentification. Now, parentification is when your child, you are raising your child to be like more like your therapist, right? So you are discussing, or you're sharing with your child your emotional struggles, right? Your child becomes the husband that was not there. Of course, your husband is supposed to be your friend, but because your husband is not there, your child becomes that person. So though your child is small, you start letting your child into experiences that are not age appropriate for her. So unconsciously, you start telling your child how your partner is treating you. Unconsciously, you start telling your child how other people are not being fair to you. Unconsciously, you start telling your child, the struggles you're going through. Now, your child will give you her ears. However, your child has not emotionally matured enough to understand what you're going through. So unconsciously, you now use your child as a springboard to share your emotional struggles. Now, what happens is, unconsciously, your child becomes an adult in a child's body. Yes, she's a child, but she becomes an adult in a child's body. What plays out is that you deprive this girl of having the timeline of growing as a girl child. She's deprived of her childhood. She is deprived of experiences she needs to navigate to develop a proper esteem. Now, because she is an adult in a girl's child, she struggles to navigate her walls. Because she has not experienced certain walls, she feels something is wrong with her. Now, that's parentification. The second trauma imprint I'll be bringing to our attention is the scaffolding. The scaffolding imprint. The scaffolding imprint happens when parents use their children as a vehicle for their happiness. So this girl child is there as a symbol to prove that you are a good parent. She's there to let the world know that you are doing well. So if she's doing well as a parent, oh, ring the bell, oh, you're doing well. If she's not doing well, you feel, oh, I'm not doing well, I'm inadequate. Now, what this plays out is that there is constant pressure on the girl child to be successful. there's constant pressure on the girl child to meet your metrics. The implication is, yes, she will meet your metrics, but something dies in her. Authenticity dies in her. Her autonomy dies in her. She has to give up who she is to become who you want her to be. So we are raising our girls who become the ideal children of their parents. However, they don't have a sense of who they are. They don't have a sense of their identity. Neither do they have a sense of their autonomy. Why? Because yes, they are meeting your expectations. However, they are giving up who they are just to become who you want them to be. The third trauma imprint is what I call the savior imprint. The savior imprint usually is when children, especially the girl child, is raised to be a super people pleaser. So you hear what's like, you are a girl. Because you are a girl, you don't do X, Y, Z. You are a girl, you don't talk like this. You are a girl, you don't behave like this. Because you are a girl, you don't go to these places. Because you are a girl, you don't dress like this. Because you are a girl. So constantly, the girl child is trying to understand that, oh, there are some things I don't have to do. There are places I don't have to go. There are things I don't have to do because I am a girl. Invariably, the girl child learns because she is a girl, she has to do certain things to gain the validation, attention, and love of other people. Unconsciously, she starts feeling, oh, when people treat me like this, they are doing me a favor. So if I need more of love, if I need more of attention, I need to do X, Y, Z because I am a girl. So unconsciously, we are raising our children to be people pleasers. We are raising our children, our girl children, to be so much focused on what other people will say about them, not necessarily who they are. The fourth trauma imprint is what I call emotional deprivation. Childhood emotional deprivation, the CED. The CED oftentimes plays out as children find it very hard to ask for help. Now, let me explain how this plays out. If, as a child, over and over again, your emotional concerns or your need for emotional alignment is not met, over time you learn that, oh, my emotional needs don't matter. Over time you learn that, oh, even when I share my needs, I won't get the attention I need. So this is how it plays out. You know, traditionally you hear that if a child is crying, don't carry the child, leave the child. The child will cry and keep quiet. You hear words like, if a child cry, the child will not die. You know, hear that was like, stop crying. Are you a girl? So the girls are saying hearing that, oh, crying is for girls, right? And then if the child is crying, they say, keep quiet. Don't cry, keep quiet. You like crying. Unconsciously, the girl child is learning that, oh, my emotional distress don't mean nothing. It does not matter. What plays out is over time, this girl child learns not to share her emotional concerns. She learns to suppress her emotional concerns. She learns to keep her needs to herself because she feels they don't matter. No one cares. No one listens. So it's me against the wall. If those who I call my parents are minimizing how I feel, how will other people treat how I feel? So this girl child grows believing, oh, genuine help is not there. This girl child grows up believing, if I'll ever get any help, if I'll ever get any love, I have to do something to get it. Not because I am deserving of it, because all my life I grew up realizing that my emotional needs do not evoke the attention I need. The fifth trauma imprint that we as parents rub on our children is the internalization of abuse. The internalization of abuse. This plays out in this way. The average girl child is raised to normalize abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, mental abuse, social abuse, all sorts of social and structural subjugation. The girl child is scripted to normalize it. As a mother, I will tell her, just be patient. Just be patient. We tell her, oh, these things, they are normal. They are normal. And then even as parents, we verbally abuse the girl child. We emotionally abuse the girl child. So we raise our children in an environment that said, listen, I will abuse you. And when I do, you are the reason, right? So when we physically abuse our children, when we verbally abuse our children, when we emotionally abuse our children, and then when I say, you are the one that made me treat you like this. I'm treating you like this so that you'll be a strong woman. I'm treating you like this so that you will not be a wimp. So we are normalizing how we treat them. And then this is what plays out. When other people abuse them, they normalize it. Besides normalizing it, they will interpret it to mean I was treated this way because of what I did. So the girl child starts taking responsibility for how she was treated. The girl child gets scripted to be silent when she's treated in ways that are inappropriate to her. Now, all these things falls back to us parents because we had to treat them this way for them to normalize it. Now, we had to treat them this way because as parents, we were treated this way. We parentify our children because we were parentified. We script our children to normalize abuse because we were abused and told we were the reason why we were abused. We compare our children with other children because our parents compared us with other children. And this sense of inadequacy, we're not carrying it and then perpetrating it on our children. We are using our children as trophy, as a vehicle for our happiness because our parents use us as trophies and vehicle for their happiness. But we cannot continue. That's why I said we have to pause to understand where we are coming from, evaluate how this trauma imprint has affected us, heal, so that in a cloud of experiences that is trying to drag our children down, that is trying to drag the girl child down, that is trying to make the girl child feel as if you are inadequate, you don't deserve it, you are below par, that we are there to say, listen, dear girl child, I am giving you these feathers, fly, flap your wings, there is a place for you at the top, soar, soar, soar. There is so much more about you. If we do not take a few steps backwards to ask ourselves questions, why was I raised like this? Is it because my parents loved me or because my parents had their own emotional issues they couldn't deal with? Because what plays out is that if you do not evaluate where you're coming from, you will treat your trauma pattern as if it's a parenting pattern. So I'll say it again. If you do not evaluate where you're coming from, You will treat your parent trauma pattern on you as if it's a parenting pattern. So if your parents verbally abused you, you think it's cool. If your parents emotionally and physically abused you, you say, oh, that's cool. After all, I was raised this way and I turned out well. However, you need to realize that your parenting goals are different from how you were raised. Let me share a personal experience. With my dad when I was growing up. So while growing up, I had so much hate for my dad. I resented my dad. And that was because he was not there in my life physically and emotionally. By the way, that was when I was growing up. And then years after, after higher institution, I told myself, okay, after all, my dad was not there in my life. So I'll come back home, tell him how I feel, and then I will live his life. After all, he was not there. So I came back home. Incidentally, that day, my mom was around. So I told them, okay, I want to have my last word with them. Then, I will leave, go fix my life. So I started telling my dad how I felt. I told him how he was not there in my life, how hot I felt that he was not there emotionally, how I resented him. By the way, my dad was a pastor, so he was busy doing God's work and all that, but he was not there in my life. As a child, I needed him to be available. I needed him to model, to validate the little child I was, but he was not there. So I told him how I felt. Of course, the resentment I have heaped inside me. As I was sharing, I was crying. My mom was there hearing me talk to my dad that way for the first time. She was crying. I was crying. And then my dad was there still looking at me. He was just there looking at me. After saying everything, calm down. My mom calmed down. I said, okay, I'm done. I went inside to go and pick my bag and leave the house. So he told my mom that he wants to see me. He wants to say something to me. So, holding my bag, I went, met him. He said, I should sit down. So I sat down and then he started sharing a few things with me. He said, well, he heard everything I said. However, he wanted to share something with me. He will not say how I feel is wrong. However, he wants to say a few things. That God knows that he loves me. That God knows that he's praying for me. That, God will guide me. God will give me success in all I do. Now, in everything he'll say, God knows. God knows. God knows. And then after saying, he cares, he loves me, he's thinking about me, he's praying about me, he now said something that was key and instrumental to my journey of healing as a boy that was hurting. He said, he lost his dad when he was 3. And then he said, he didn't know what it means to have a father-child relationship. So even though he loves me, he didn't know how to express it. Even though he loves me, he didn't know how to express it because he didn't have a father or he didn't grow up with a father. So he didn't know what a father-child relationship is. So for me, how he was raising me was how he was raised, because he grew up with his uncle. His uncle was not available in his life. His uncle never validated him. His uncle never said, listen, I love you. His uncle never said, I missed you. His uncle never checked on him. So he was only parenting me the way he was parented. Now, that's why I said, if you do not evaluate how you were raised, to understand why you were raised, why your parents raised you that way, you will raise your girl child that way, thinking is a parenting pattern, not knowing that is a perpetuation of a trauma pattern. As parents who are raising girl's child, a whole lot is at stake for the girl child. If you are a mother, I know you know what you went through. I know you know the struggles you had to go through. I know what, you kind of understand better what you are struggling with now as a mother, from culture, from religion, from media, from structured subjugation. You can do better for the girl child. We can all join our heads, join our hearts, to create a better tomorrow for the girl child, so that the girl child will not grow up thinking, no, I am inadequate, I don't deserve the top, and then something is wrong with me. We can only do that when we take a few steps backward, heal of our hearts, heal of our anger, heal of how we were treated, heal of all the imprint that has made us feel inadequate. Then we can appropriately guide our children, model the girl child, and live a life that our girl child will look at and say, oh, because my mom reached for the stars, I can reach for the moon. I'll stop here. Thank you so much, so that we can have ample time to answer questions and equally, pollinate our ideas. Thank you so much. And then thank you for everyone who has created time to be here for this conversation.
Whoa, that was explosive. While you were talking, I had to send you a message on Facebook. I couldn't help myself. This has been very revealing. That these things you shared today, just like Coach Esther, they are not supposed to be a one-night experience. It's supposed to be like a weekend. And we dedicate 2 hours to talk about this so that everyone can ask questions. I was telling Esther earlier, one of the biggest mistakes I made with this was making it, we have 4 sessions in 2 days. So subsequently, would do more, definitely. So first and foremost, I'd really like it to be 2 days. So maybe would have one facilitator a day, like what Eliman did yesterday. Ballistic. I mean, she just gave us. I mean, tonight has been loaded. So if you've learned something so far, tell me one sentence that Coach Ade said that is still in your head. Tell me one sentence that Coach Ade made that is still in your head. I don't know if everyone can hear me. My network has been interesting tonight, but we cover it with the blood of Jesus. In Nigeria, we cover everything with the blood of Jesus. So I pray my network carries me. So I'm going to quickly go through my slides now and talk about some things to come, and then we answer questions. Are we ready to go? Yes, I want to see what you've learned from Coach Esther and Coach Ade since we started tonight. I want you to drop it for us. One sentence that stuck with you. I need to heal from the kind of parenting that I had. Yes. So, sometimes we come on social media and start to badmouth coaches and say, my parents hit me, but I turned out right. It's more than that. It's bigger than that. All right. So even sitting back to say, was it the best thing? I mean, what has not changed in the world? What are we not trying to do better of? So, I mean, it's been my head is full. I'm like, what? This has been amazing. So let me just pin myself. I'm going to be sharing a slide now. Okay. And then we go. I mean, I don't even know if I need to talk again. I don't even know.
Please, you have
I'm
to
like,
talk.
what?
Please,
This has been amazing. This has been amazing. Honestly, I'm grateful to all the coaches that teamed up with us to do this. So I'm seeing Yewande's post. Yewande said the kind of parenting you receive shouldn't necessarily be the same way you treat your kids. So look at the thing Esther was talking about, our relationship with our daughters. I mean, think about it. What was modeled to you? I remember one of our first boot camps, a mother had to send me a voice note, Coach Ade. She said that when she started seeing her period, she thought she had done something wrong. She thought it was disgusting because her mother was like the queen of etiquette, prim and proper. So she couldn't even imagine telling her mom that she had seen her period. So think about, maybe they come from a royal lineage, there's a disposition to things. So sometimes what could have been what makes you special? Sometimes trauma can make you feel that thing is what makes you special. Meanwhile, something is wrong there. You get the idea?
Yes.
So for example, one of the things I have had to unlearn is that I tend to be a loner. I was an only child for 18 years. Grew up apart from my mom, grew up with her brothers. And my mom was a single parent. I've never met who my dad is. So it means that even in marriage, I have to be deliberate about cultivating bonding. I mean, get up and go.
Trusting other relationship.
Now, do you understand? I mean, I don't know if do you get, we all need to sit back. If we want to do right by our children, we all need to sit back and hear, like, I was taking note of all the trauma imprints because, man, I wanted to ask myself, girl, which one are you dealing with right now? Which one is on your plate? Which one do you need to unlearn? So I like this. Jennifer said, if I do not evaluate how I was raised, I would be modeling. Right, I missed that one. Let me go back a bit. I would be modeling a type of parenting based on trauma. We don't need to raise girls with the mentality that they have to behave a certain pattern before they are accepted or loved. Absolutely. So this comment really leads me into our very last session for this edition of our family meeting. See me, I don't even know where the share button is again. I'm so excited. I'm so excited tonight. It's been worth doing, okay? It's been worth doing. So a few months ago, I just sat down and I started asking myself, if someone asked me, all right, Irene, what is it that makes up self-esteem? What would you say? What would you share? And so I've been working on this for a while. I've taught it before, I've done a few things, but today I just wanted to break it down a little bit more. So for me, I'm raising two girls. What has come to me was, when my children leave home, what kind of people do I want them to be? What kind of women do I want them to be? Do I want them to be women that are intimidated by the progresses of other people? Do I want them to be intimidated to share their thoughts? Do I want them to be perfectionists, having such high expectations of themselves? Do I want them to be indisciplined people? And so I realized something Esther also mentioned, the power of self-efficacy, meaning you've got to believe it on your inside. And so I really wanted to give my daughters several experiences that helped build their own self-efficacy. For example, I wanted to have daughters who experiment, who make mistakes, and it's not a big deal, who start out a project, it breaks down, and they sit back and they have a good laugh, and then they piece it together and build again. So in order to do that, I had to ask myself, what will it take to raise a girl like that? So this is what I've been able to do. Come with me. So I'm trying to, there's something Coach Ade did today, punchy sessions, to the point, but loaded. So I'm attempting to do what he did today, okay? Giving us the nuggets on point. So I designed these three things that I feel that I know that make up self-esteem, all right? These three things are like a journey. Your daughter starts out with self-awareness, and she can end up at the point of self-respect. Because self-respect for me is a place where she exudes that self-esteem, she exudes the self-confidence. And so these three things, self-awareness, self-acceptance, and self-respect, are very critical. When I started teaching this, I used to teach self-awareness and self-respect. But later on, I realized that awareness is not equal to acceptance. Some of us are aware that, oh, we are chubby, but it's a point of embarrassment to us. It's a point of shame to us. I'm going to share this story. The first time I was launching some parenting books, before I niched down into girls, I launched 4 books at the same time. I had so much thought about parenting, so I would write and group and write and group. I ended up with 4 books. Do you know that after launching the books, I had epic shame. I was embarrassed that I had 4 books at once. I felt that I was too much. I did it too much. Am I the only person there? Am I the only person there? Until a friend of mine, her name is Lola Neke, she will never know, was launching a series of books on dyslexia. And she launched about 4 books as well. And Lola was excited. She was talking about how she was passionate about it. And it was there, it hit me that, girl, shouldn't this be something you're proud about? That was when it hit me that your daughters can know what makes them special, but they can shrink because of it. But they can reject it because of it. They can label it wrong because of it. So it was in those moments I started saying, look, there has to be self-acceptance. We are aware of who we are, strength, weaknesses, and all of that. Then we accept that who we are is enough. We accept that this package we came in is sufficient enough. And then we move on to self-respect. For each one, I'll share what each of them mean. And I'll also try to share what parents can do to help children build that. All right? So what does it take to understand self-awareness? So number one, I always start here. I remember one time I was living with an aunt and she had this key holder that the name of the wordings on the key holder was, God don't make junk. She had that key holder. It was for her car. She didn't know. I mean, I was a teenager, maybe I'm 17, 18, 19 at the time. She didn't know that every time I thought I wasn't worthy, if I was worthy, my daddy wouldn't have walked away. I mean, he should have stayed. He should have accepted responsibility. I mean, by now, he should have attempted a relationship, and I would be feeling rejected and rejected and rejected. Her key holder kept reminding me, God doesn't make junk. The way God designed you is amazing. And one of the things that has helped me the most to grow self-esteem has been understanding that I was created by an intelligent being, and everything in me is purpose-built. The Bible says in Jeremiah 1 verse 5 that he formed us in his womb. Can you turn back to your girls? And in fact, you don't need to start talking to your girls. You need to start believing in your head that your daughter, that you think that she's not really as fair as you. If she wanted to be fair, she should be fair enough. Can you pause for a moment and say the way she is, with that texture of hair, with the way she talks, was created by an intelligent being? When you start to tell yourself, my daughter was created by an intelligent being, deliberately fabricated for a reason, it means that when you want to talk to her, even about things you want her to improve on, there's a way you talk to her. Do you know that we project how we feel on our children without realizing it? I'll tell you, my mom, every time my mother runs into me, you didn't do makeup today. You didn't do makeup. I mean, I was a teenager at the time. She said, you didn't do makeup. So what I picked was, I need you to look like this. So I don't know whether it's the rebellion to that demand that was placed on me in a way. I mean, if you see me, you see me, you know? So I don't know whether it was that, but I got to that place where I snapped, because there were times I felt like, I mean, you don't care how I'm feeling. Is it just how I look? So think about it. If you're constantly thinking about something, it doesn't take long before you start to tell your daughter that you have reservations about these features, this thing, this nature, this thing. So you get the idea. So we need to work on that, right? So what does self-awareness mean? It means you start to teach your daughter to discover the adventure that is her being. Your daughter is an adventure on earth. She has talent, she has personality, she has a temperament that is amazing. She has a learning style. She has different things that are unique to her. I mean, many of these things we're learning it as an adult. You can imagine how much life would be better, how productive will be, how better, result-oriented will be if many of us knew what our temperaments were. So, for example, you would know how you'd react in a certain situation. It could help you with emotional intelligence. If you knew that you were this kind of personality, you could know your weakness when you're getting into relationships. You could on your own know that I have the tendency to be attracted to people like this. And so as a result, you can deliberately start navigating towards your preferred. If you knew what your learning style was, you'd study better in school, you have better outcomes. You get the idea? So we must lead our children to start discovering themselves. Part of the things they get to discover about themselves are their values. I know that the first thing that comes to our mind is family values, but sometimes kids come with a template and a blueprint of their values. For example, their temperament and personality starts to show. My first daughter is orderly most of the time. So when she keeps her stuff in this particular place, she wants it to be orderly. She wants it to be there. So she values order. She values fun. She wants to not have a cantankerous relationship with people. She doesn't seek relationships, but when she's in a circle with people, she wants where they can laugh. Nobody is intimidated. Help her discover those things about her. You get the idea? Help her discover those things about her. Yes, lead them to discover what is special about them. Sometimes you're so soaked into criticism, you can't see the beauty that is in front of you. You have a daughter that has aspiration. My second daughter, she loves the media. Like, she will pick my phone, turn on. If I open my phone, different footages. One day I came across a video of her doing a talk show, and in the talk show, she says she wants to be a doctor, but that she hopes she says something like she really wants to be a doctor because her mother wanted to be a doctor and her mother didn't do well at school. I mean, this girl was dissing me in the video. I don't need anybody to tell me that that girl has a place in the media. I'm excited about the discovery. So when I find that I show genuine enthusiasm that, woo, you have this thing going. That same child loves to teach. She'll be in the corridor and be talking to people, and she'll be saying that this is how teachers should teach. And she'll be going and she'll be going. I'll be saying, baby girl, this is phenomenal. The way you do this is different. Your girls must discover themselves at home. And it's not all high. They must also know their weakness. So for example, my second baby is sanguine. And I'm looking at her, I'm saying, baby girl, you like to be in social circles with people. And I assure you, sometimes you will look past their character just because you want company. And I'm not saying it in a critical way. I'm not saying be careful of friends. I've been talking to you about friends. That doesn't work. I'm helping you understand the reason I'm having this conversation with you is because you're a social butterfly. You're the life of the party. You want things to keep going. And so I'm just beginning to introduce that, whoa, as you're having fun, check this, check this, check this. And so even when she has issues with kids in school, she comes and say, Mom, this person was nasty to me, but I still think she's my friend. I said, all right, let's decide what makes her a friend. Does she treat you like this? Does she treat you like that? So even in correcting, I'm correcting to her person. I'm correcting to her personality type. And she understands that we are on the same team. I'm not telling her bad company, bad company. No, it's not about bad company. I'm telling her, baby, you are really accommodating. You can literally accommodate a terrorist because of your heart. So we need to start saying, what are the checklists before I accommodate? I have a heart that goes out. Can I have my circle of influence? Can I have, my inner tribe and the people that I just care about? You get the idea. So self-awareness puts you on the same page with her. She discovers herself. So even when she identifies a weakness, it doesn't come through as weakness at all. It comes through as something I need to check. She doesn't have the same thing. Oh, I'm not like this. I'm not like that. These things help significantly with emotional regulation. I put this here because I want to share something. So when I talk to my daughters about emotional intelligence, many times we focus on anger. When I talk to my girls, I talk about excitement too. That's another emotion to check. When my daughters were very young, they started saying, don't make decisions when you're mad, don't make promises when you're excited. So I started to tell them, you know when you're excited, what you're capable of. So because of that, what do we do? And they start to share, when I'm excited, and we are all self-aware. So that's for me the first step. I don't know if you've learned anything so far. Can you hear me? Yeah. Thank you so much, Richard. See the beauty, because your daughter is an adventure. I mean, think about it like this. God designed this chick. God designed this child, gave you the privilege to parent her. You have to show enthusiasm to see what comes out of this package. So maybe you have an older sister that the daughter is playing violin and doing gymnastics. And you wish, why can't my child? Don't worry. This is a gift now. Be unwrapping it. As you're unwrapping it, you will find out that there is no need to wish that you had another child if you pay attention to unwrapping it. So now as your child begins to discover herself, one of the first things you teach your girls is like, every girl is beautiful, because there's no standard of beauty. There's no standard that is perfect. I mean, one of my boot camps, I had to tell the kids that there's no flawless person in this world. All human beings have a feature that they wish was different. And so because of that, don't let someone with their flaws come and tell you what is not right about you. So if your daughter was in our last boot camp, you hear us saying, I'm chubby beautiful, I'm tall beautiful, I'm dark beautiful, I'm fair beautiful. Every child is a version. Every girl is a version of beautiful. And your girls need to know that from home. So look at me. A few months back, I was talking with one of my daughters, and I told her to describe what beauty was for me. And she described light one. I mean, she used some adjectives that I was like, whoa, then they used that one too. When she finished describing, I asked her, where do you fit in? She said that she doesn't fit in anywhere, that she didn't consider herself beautiful. Now, the African standard is normally to say, how can you say that? But that's you shutting down her voice. So I said, so tell me, why do you say that? And we started talking, and I got to the place where I said, girl, I feel differently about you. And here is why. Here is why. You get the idea? And by the time we started talking through it, every now and then I'm coming back to her. I'm looking at what influences is she hearing from. You get, what is she hearing? What is she saying? What is she measuring against? Because all of these things I'm saying tonight is still a journey. You find her one day, she feels like a rock star. She stands in the mirror and says, I'm the most gorgeous girl in the universe. Another day she comes, I don't feel so good. Whatever day she is, you're present to walk her from where she is to where she ought to be. The second part is I am intelligent. I can learn hard things. I haven't had a struggle with my girls with this, but I can tell you the downside. Sometimes intelligent girls downplay beauty. I hear people also sometimes say, talk to your girls about purpose. There's more to life than beauty and purpose. The way God designed it, girls need to still feel beautiful. Stop evading the beautiful conversation. Say it, own it, be serious about it. And so I tell my girls that beauty for me is neatness. You're neat, your appearance is excellent. And when I tell them appearance, I tell them that it's not what other people see, but how you feel. I'll usually make fun with, if you were dirty on this, people can be applauding you, but you, girl, are not beautiful that day because, so it's you're doing this thing for first. It's not for my daughters know that we never say what will people think. It's not in the permutation. It's not amongst truth. We believe the truth of God's word. And so I would go into the scripture. My daughters would say, but why did he have to say you're fearfully and wonderfully made? Why fearfully? I'm like, it's awesome. People look at you and go, wow, that's the idea. So, but the other part is, in self, awareness, they get to know things they're not so good at. So one of my daughters is super good in math, and she always wants to rub it off on everybody that math is like this. And so my first daughter would normally feel like, why can't I get math? I'm like, well, you get science. You get science in a beautiful way, but you can ask her to walk you through math. I want my daughters to have a growth mindset where when they find that they have maybe a weakness or some skill that they need to build, they don't consider it something that is detrimental. They consider it an opportunity for growth. So you can talk to your younger sister and say, come and explain this algebra for me. And it won't be a big deal because in acceptance, you accept where you are. All right. And then finally, just before I say finally, I also try to teach them that no one has a trouble-free existence. Girls are living under a burden of idea. They imagine that other people's lives are perfect, even as moms. You can be on this call and say, oh, Irene, she has it all together. She has it here, has it there, has it there. I'm like, girl, this is my work. I'm devoted here. That's why I can teach you here. There are a couple of places that you will school me on. So no one has it perfect. I remember one day was a rude realization for me one day in church. My pastor was teaching and then he turned and said, look, let me tell you, there's nobody that doesn't have something they're dealing with. And it set me free because there were times I used to think that now only me this thing they happen for. So you too, set your daughters free. If you're always focusing on, she didn't get this, she didn't get this, she didn't get this, she didn't get it, you didn't do that, you didn't do that, you didn't do that, you didn't do that, you start to make her feel that this is a unique experience. It's happening only her. You start to make her feel that she's a burden. You start to make her feel that she makes you embarrassed. You start to make her feel like she's ashamed to the family. Let me say this in the most crazy way. You find that your child has a sexual misbehavior. You caught your child watching porn or masturbating. Be more interested in repairing what is going on, correcting the behavior than wishing it didn't happen. When you wish it didn't happen, your daughter feels that her existence is in question. In counseling kids that are going through sexual misbehavior, one of the top thoughts they have the moment they're caught is suicide. And when you talk to them, they say, I'm ashamed to my family. I'm ashamed to my family. I'm ashamed to my family. And so I'm saying that even in their worst moments, you need to remind them, oh, this is your fight in this season. Everybody has something they're dealing with. This is the one you're dealing with. So focus on it, deal with it, overcome it, because this adversity is common to man. So this idea that she needs to be perfect, we need to clear. So the other part where you start to also test whether your daughter completely accepts herself is when you start to clarify her motives. Your daughter says she wants to have all A's in class. Ask her why. If she has the idea that that is what will validate her, you have a problem. Because even when she has all A's, she will still not be satisfied. Oh, she wants to win this. She wants this to happen and that to happen. Ask her why. And in sitting down to break down, let her tell you her motivation for it, you can start to know when the motivation is from insufficiency, where she feels that she's not complete until that happens. My daughter was going for a competition recently. She was in Bible Big competition, my first. And on the day of the final, I was not going to be there. So I called her. I knew that she has this, she wants to win everything. So I sat down with her and said, baby girl, you've been on this Bible before. What? Maybe 3 months. Tell me some of your gains. And she was like, oh, I got to read the book of Hebrew. I got to know that it was all about the priesthood of Jesus. Let me tell you, my daughter must never hear this. I didn't even know that the book of Hebrew was really about the priesthood of Jesus. The only thing I knew about the book of Hebrews was faith. And so she talked about that. Then she talked about Revelation. And then she'd be talking about all these churches. Then she talked about Deuteronomy, because that's what the competition was on. And she kept talking, oh, that Jesus was after the order of Melchizedek. I mean, she's talking really complex stuff. And I had to tell her, that's why you went for the competition. If you win, I'd like it. I'll feel good with the 150K prize. But 150K will finish. But these things you learned, you will use them to war in the future. And so because of that, because of clarifying their motive for doing things, I have a home that is comparison free. And of course, my daughters are very vocal and verbal. So they would easily tell me when I made a statement that suggested comparison, and I would apologize. Normally, we like to point them to other people that are flashy standards. I'm telling you, you can teach the standard without pointing to anyone. You can teach your daughter the benefit of hard work, of honesty, without saying your cousin, your auntie, our neighbor. You can teach all of those things without pointing to anyone. All right, so let me come to the comment as I enter the last pillar for the day. So I see your question, Eunice. You need to watch the session for yesterday. If you're a perfectionist mother, I want you to know that you have to deal with it yourself without putting it on your child. So for example, you have to give, so for instance, you're a perfectionist, you like plates to be washed a particular way. When your daughter is learning, she can't wash like that. And no matter how she masters it, nobody may ever be able to wash like you. So it's going to be your own inside job to be at peace with other people's journeys. Excuse me. So you may need to watch the session of yesterday to get a little bit of that. So let's talk about understanding self-respect. This is the last pillar, remember. The first way you teach your daughters to respect themselves is by showing respect to them. Talk to them with respect. African languages are crazy. I was telling someone I'm Efik, all right, by tribe, and your subconscious mind has stored up abuse in your head. You heard it from your grandma and grandpa and everything. So first speak to her respectfully, but respect is not always about how we speak, it's how we treat them. You went to pick her up late and you have no apologies. She expressed her feeling and you dismissed it. You use her things without permission. You essentially disregard how she feels or what she thinks. So when you do that, you're not treating her with respect. When you disregard her, she comes to disregard herself. There's this quote I've seen, it said, the way you talk to your child becomes their inner voice, right? Yes, respect is simply how you make them feel. Do you make them feel heard, valued, loved, important? Some of us are arguing on social media about how busy we are. Well, the way children translate love, for example, is the time you make to be with them. So I would have sometimes that people will call me to give a speaking engagement, and I know I'm not taking it because maybe it's a Saturday and I want to spend time with them. I will take that call in front of my children and say, oh, I can't make it on Saturdays because it's the time I have with my girls, unless it's a late night speaking engagement starting at 8:30. And so there are times people will call me and say, Irene, I know that Saturdays are for your girls, and maybe my daughter's here, or we meet someone and say, I was trying to invite you, but you say Saturday for your girls. And my girls feel pumped, they feel valued. You have to make your princess feel valued. even when you're correcting her, even when she misbehaves, she does something she shouldn't, you can look her in the face and say, baby girl, I know you can do better than this. Let's walk this through. How did you miss it? Let me walk you through it. So you're correcting the behavior from the standpoint that she's capable of doing responsible. So her room is constantly dirty. You say, baby girl, I promise you, you can keep this room. I think we need to work out the planning part. We need to sit down and talk, because I'm here to support you to keep this room tidy, because I know that you're capable of keeping this room clean. I know that you love yourself and you don't want to sleep in an infested room. And so I'm going to work with you. I'm going to support you. Tell me what's up. Where are we missing it? When I'm talking to my daughter, I like to use we. Where are we missing it? We're in this together. You get the idea. Have a growth mindset when correcting. Show the map to growth. She misbehaved. How do we do? What do we do to prevent this from happening? That's what discipline should be. Do you get? The third thing I want to talk about, for some parents, they would hear maybe this my session and say, oh, I need to be warm and fuzzy with my kids. So they run a home where there's no values, no standards, no discipline, no routine, no structure, anything goes. One time my husband was talking to my daughters about something. I don't know whether it was my husband or my pastor. One of them was talking to myself and my daughter. We're having a conversation, and he said that one of the problems people have about believing when they make declarations in faith, one of the things that make it hard for people to believe that what they said and declared would happen is because they don't have regards for the words that they speak. What it means is that a child growing up in a home where there are no standards, where anything goes, is going to meet a shocker in the world that requires structure and discipline. And the first thing that will come out of their minds is that they are inadequate. So they show up in a work environment where they have to come to work at a certain time, and they're constantly late. So they're tardy. So they experience a decline. They show up, they give them a task to do. They don't know how to regulate and plan time and do it and deliver on task. So they're constantly on the receiving end of correction, reprimand and all of that. So they feel inadequate. So you have to raise your girls to be disciplined, have strong family values, what's family values? Things that you believe to be true, things that you're working to build as character for your children. My family, top on our ladder is honesty. We have to be people of integrity. It's the only thing. So in my home, a good name is better than riches. My kids know that, all right? But we now start working. What does it take to have a good name? Keep your promise. So when I say don't make decisions when you're mad, don't make promises when you're excited, it's so that I keep my promises. I don't say what I'm not able to do, right? Another family value we have is that we will have a home that enables each other's faith. That means that we're holding each other accountable, and we have fun moments studying about faith and God and things that God expects, and anyone in my home can teach. Even my 9-year-old can teach. I mean, last week, she taught something in Genesis that was profound, where Jonathan and one of his soldiers went to fight a war. And the Bible verse said that, and God will help us by many or a few. I mean, she was talking to us about trusting God. So that's family culture. And then the last thing for me is we will seek social good, that we're on earth to fulfill an assignment, to serve. So my kids know these 3 things. And so our lives revolves around them. The way we talk to each other, the promises we make to each other. If we say this is this, like my kids won't say I don't keep promises. If I can't do it, I'm going to reschedule it and make a commitment towards it and eventually do it. So do you get the idea? So raise disciplined kids. Disciplined kids have bedtime, they have structure, they have routine. What it means is that me as a mom, I have to supervise. And if you're fortunate to start when they're really young, by the time they get to a certain age, you don't need all that supervision. We have an age that they're now responsible for different chores, and we have incentivize it. If you do your chores without tantrums, you're good. If you do your chores with tantrums, you earn 1 more day. Do you get the idea? So self-respect is derived from discipline, all right? Discipline to read when you need to read, research when you need to research, get the information you need for what you need to give, get information for, so that at each point in time, you're not perfect, but you don't have a sense of inadequacy. On top of that, we're also encouraging them that asking questions does not show that it's not about being ignorant. Who doesn't ask questions doesn't learn. So I'm not trying to raise kids who feel that they need to know everything. They just need to be open to learning. So I've already talked about this last part, which is that in every home, you must hear her thoughts, including the ones that doesn't make sense to you. I assure you, if you were her age, it will make sense to you. So you must always have that at the back of your mind. So I want to wrap this up in a moment. That's the end of my session. So this is a nutshell for me. Everyone has highs and lows. Our goal for doing this session is to make sure your daughter has more highs than lows. But here's a simple trick that I use at my age to sustain myself when I have lows. So when I'm having a high, I will write things I feel about myself, like an affirmation. All right, let your daughter have that. Things she says about herself, I'm beautiful, I'm this, I'm that, I'm that, I'm that. But when she is going through lows, she needs to pick by what she wrote with her hands to be able to sustain her. When she's going through lows, let her go back. One of my friends will tell me, when we are really excited, she'll say something like, sister, we better remember this thing the day that Satan comes that also. The day she said that some years back, I now noted. In my WhatsApp, I have an affirmation, things I say to myself in those moments when I don't feel so good. This is to help me start coming up. Then I start to troubleshoot. Why did that thing hit me so low? Then I learn from that thing so that next time I don't fall in the same place. So you get the idea. So let me give you a typical scenario. Your daughter did so well at CA. She squashed all her subjects. And then she wrote that she's intelligent, she's thoughtful, she remembers what they taught her, her teachers, celebrate her commitment or blah, 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 blah. Then she went for a competition. And as she got there, another girl started. And when the girl started speaking English in the debate, her self-esteem collapsed. When she comes home, let her read the affirmation on the day she did well in the CA. When you're done, you sit down and say, let's walk through what really happened. Say, well, when she started talking, I felt like she had more points than I did. Well, you had not yet shared your own point. She was not yet done. You couldn't have concluded she'd do better than you. Okay, what did you learn from her? Because when you're experiencing a low, you're not able to really mine a valuable opportunity. What did you learn? I learned this. This is typical thing that happened to my daughter when she went for one debate that her school nearly came last. And she was one of the speakers. She said, I didn't have enough bullet points. I said, so you've learned something valuable. At another time, it's okay to have more bullet points. So I don't know if you've heard something, but all these three things I've said, we have a number of programs we're launching out over the next coming weeks, and I wanted to talk to us a little bit about it. I see two comments here. Let me see what's happening there. Let me see. Make your daughter feel valued despite her shortcomings. Yeah, awesome. So I'm sure many parents here already registered for our bootcamp. It's totally free, happening August 3rd to 5th. So you need to get registered. All you need to do is see this WhatsApp number on the screen, send the numbers, send the word camp to that, and we'll get your daughter registered for our bootcamp. We also have a mentoring program we're opening up in September, but registration is opening this weekend for the 10/10 girls squad. So every month, we want to meet with the girls once a month, according to our normal age clusters, 3 to 5, 6 to 8, 9 to 11, 12 to 14, and 15 plus. And we're going to talk to them about the Bible. We're going to talk to them about body safety. We're going to talk to them about character. What are we trying to do? We designed this sex conversation planner for parents. And when we're done, we see our parents saying, I have the planner, I don't know what to say. So we want to take that planner and teach the girls directly ourselves, age appropriate, right content all year long. So if you would like your daughter to be a part of the squad, all you need to do is send us a message to 081-00944-320. That's the number on the screen. You can take a screenshot, and then we will make sure that we send you information on how to get registered. It's going to be super affordable on a monthly basis. It's the most affordable thing we've ever done, actually, because we are more concerned about building a community of girls just learning. So just send us a WhatsApp message with the phrase, I want. So we have messages waiting for you. When you send I want, we'll send you more details. If you're interested in registering your daughter for the camp, just send camp to that number. And finally, some parents who attended our last boot camps are planning picnics for us and the girls in Abuja, Lagos, and Port Harcourt. So if you'd like your daughter to participate in any of the picnics, all you need to do is send the word picnic to the same WhatsApp number and would be happy to help you. So I'm going to be stopping here, even though, yes, I'm going to be stopping here for now. We would send everyone a note of these classes I held yesterday and today. We're working on some notes to share with us so that you can remember some key points, and even people that registered. We had about 340 people register. I don't know if they're joining in on YouTube, no problem at all. We'll be able to email everyone links to replay and the workbooks for this, for the family meeting. So at this point, we're ready to take questions that you may have. I'm looking at the comment section now. All right, let me hear questions that you have because we want to wrap up in a few minutes. Thank you so much, Coach Esther and Coach Ade. Thank you so very much. Coach Ade, I don't know if you think I answered this question properly. She said, what if the mother has a mindset of a perfectionist and it has structured how she lives? How then does she change the mindset to make her daughter to be okay with who she is? All right. So, Coach Ade, please, I'd like you to add voice to it.
Yes, you
And
answered
Coach
it.
Esther, please.
I think for me, I'm gonna come from the vintage that perfectionism in itself is a trauma imprint.
Yes.
Yeah. So if a parent does not deal with that perfectionism, you might end up depleting the esteem and the relationship you have with your child.
Yes.
Because your child will feel, I'm not meeting the expectation of my mom. And then because I'm not meeting the expectation, then something must be wrong with me. Well, actually, from all the conversation we've had, your children are different, different temperament, different exposure, different form of relationship with you. So there's a likelihood that they won't 10/10 meet your expectations. Because for you are coming from a place where you learn that I need to be perfect to be accepted. But your children don't have to be perfect to be accepted. So you have to learn to accept your children in their peculiarity. Yes. So I think that what I would say is, if a parent is having this perfectionistic, proclivities, he or she can work on, herself so that she can appropriately accept the peculiarity of her daughter.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So I see another question is here, but I'm going to read this one on YouTube first. So we have a parent saying, how do you relate with a child that is so reclusive, overprotective of her space and privacy? She's very secretive. So this is also a personality type question. What would you advise her?
Okay, for children who are secretive, I think basically there's nothing wrong with that, right? Children, human beings generally, we are secretive and we just need our space. We only relate when we feel a sense of safety with people. So that sense of secrecy is just saying, I want to feel safe around you. I want you to accept me. I want you to just see me the way I am. Then permit me to open up. Of course, all children will open up, but for them, what they're exhibiting is a feedback. Is saying, can I trust you? If we flip the coin, the question will be, what am I doing that is making this child not open up to me? Am I sending some vibe or energy? Are there things I'm doing that this child is feeling, if they open up, they'll feel they're not meeting my benchmark? So there are some forms of evaluation we might need to do regarding the feedback the child is sharing. However, I think there's nothing wrong with that. Every child needs their space. Every child needs that place for autonomy. Every child needs to feel, okay, I need to open up when I am free, not when I am, pressed to open up.
Yeah.
With that, when children feel safe, they will open up.
Yes. Thank you so much, sir. So I have someone on YouTube asking, do we have any online sessions? Yes, our Body Smart Girl boot camps are 100% online. Yeah, so the Body Smart Girl Bootcamp is 100% online. It's also free. So yeah, that's online. Auntie Esther, do you want to say something about this child that is reclusive, that is overprotective and secretive? She's a teenager, so that's your forte. So I'd like you to add voice to that, please. Esther, are you there? Please unmute if you're speaking, just in case.
Hello, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly. Thank you.
Okay. It's really frustrating here. You said something.
Yes, there's a mom here that is asking the question of how do you relate with a child that is so reclusive, overprotective of her space and privacy, and very secretive?
Okay, I think the first thing is to start from the place of relationship.
Yes.
Let the problem or whatsoever you are seeing in that child not be the first thing. You know, I experienced this in one of the girls I mentored. At a point, she was so herself. She doesn't want to open up. Before you know it, everything was so difficult. I wanted to give up at that point. Then I met someone who suggested to me at that point, that was some years back, suggested to me that I should first build a relationship first, right? I should focus on building a relationship first. That opening up, she would do that by herself. So the first thing I did during that period was to take her out, right? I took her out. We just ate, talk randomly, and that is it. In fact, at this point now, she's one of the closest person, when you talk about my mentees, she's one of the closest person. So the problem or whatsoever, even if you are seeing those issues, let it not be the focus. Build the relationship first, and then she will come around. She will.
Wow. Fantastic. Thank you so very much. That was profound. Thank you so much. Let's start with building relationship first and try not to focus on her, her personality. I wish any man was here because, she's the one that knows which personality this one is. So Coach Adea she's the one that knows because I'm very grateful that we had that conversation yesterday, but we look forward to even if it's Instagram live sessions that are more, exploratory, including possible classes as well, where parents can just come and sit down and unearth this. So this woman sounds like my daughter's case. She said, my daughter complains lately that her best friend in school has stopped playing with her with no reason. I told her that she should play with other friends, but she really likes her friends. But I'd like to hear you and Esther first.
Okay, she said her friend is not playing with her.
Her friend has stopped playing with her, yes, for no reason.
Okay, no, well, it's very okay. Children go through this phase where they feel their friends don't like them again. Like, no, it's normal, yes. Right? They will navigate that phase. However, our role in this case is to do three things. First, validate how they feel. It's okay to feel that way. I too have friends where when they don't treat me a certain way, right, I don't feel this. So let's validate how they feel. Secondly, let's help them with options of why they might think that friend does not want to play with them, right? Children are more likely to have black and white form of interpretations to things. However, our role is to help them, build repertoire of options and thinking patterns. Let's help them build these executive function, propensities. So we can ask them, why do you think, she doesn't want to play with you? So she will give you options. She will give you options. And then the third, you let her know that she needs to take a step. Let her ask. Let her, go above feelings to fact. Go and ask your friend, what happened? Why is she not playing with you, right? Establish that connection. And a lot of times, when they leave feelings and assumptions to establishing connection, right, they will now realize that, oh, what I was thinking isn't truly the fact. And it could start from there. Majorly, if we validate them, I think that's the major point.
Yes, absolutely. Esther, over to you. That would be our last question for the night. I'm so grateful. Auntie Esther, tell us. Esther, can you hear us? All right, so while we're waiting for Esther, I just want to say that my second daughter is a sanguine and everything. This is a typical type case for her. I remember when I would say, well, make other friends. She'd like, but I mean, I like this person. This person was my best friend. So you remember she's the same person I said, because she accommodates someone treating her not well, because she just wants, she wants to go out of her way to make them feel okay. And so I started telling her that, great relationships have to be reciprocated as well. You're kind to them, they're kind to you. People should treat you the way you want to be treated and everything. And so one of the things I noticed is what Ade also said, was that let them find out what the problem is. And sometimes they would go to find out and say, okay, this was really the problem. But if you have a child where they have a friend that is toxic, that was the case for my daughter. So it's a bit different. She had a friend that was toxic. I didn't know why she was friends with that girl. The girl, she would come home and say, Mommy, so person said that we are going to hellfire because we wear trousers, because we wear earrings. She said this to me. She said this about my bag. She said, they were like, what? They were like 6-year-olds. And there was a lot of toxicity. I couldn't even cope as an adult. And so I talked to her and said, baby girl, if your friend, she said that she just likes her. This is the first person she met when she got to this school. When I started teaching her about relationships, they see relationships, they have to value you too. They have to be kind to you. See the way you're considering her for this. She also has to consider you for that. I want to tell you one truth. She did not change overnight. She didn't wake up one day and stopped being friends. So something happened. We had to change schools. About a year or so later, that child's family called us up one weekend like this during the Christmas. And I called her to come and talk to the girl. She said, no, she doesn't want to. I was shocked. My social butterfly said she doesn't want to talk to someone. So when you speak, give it time for them to mull over it. Let them think about it. Let them think about it.
Yeah.
When you give them the principles that true friendships show you respect, show you consideration, they have enough experience and sit back and think about times and times again where that person didn't meet that criteria. You get the idea? Yeah. So the more you talk about it, I assure you, eventually they'll make adjustment. So it's been awesome having everyone here. Thank you, Coach Ade. Coach Esther had to leave. She has a meeting to be at 10. Thank you so much. Coach Ade, thank you so much for being a part of today's meeting. I'm really grateful. I don't take your time for granted at all. So thank you so much, mamas. So you can unmute, let's hear your voices. Please unmute, let's hear your voices for the number of people still remaining. It's 10 p.m. We need to call it today. Thank you, Eunice, for staying up till now. Thank you, Fatima. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Joy. Thank you, Idara. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Jidua Ebun. Thank you, Jolayemi. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Omotola. Thank you, Auntie Onyiko. I'm seeing you again today. Thank you so much. You spent a lot of time with me this week.
Thank you. Awesome. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I wanted to take a picture. Yes, I wanted to take a picture of all of us. I need to stop sharing now. I should have done this when more people were around, John. I forgot. So anyway, we have this to thank. And then what about YouTube people? YouTube people are going to be upset. I see you. I see you, Auntie Buki. I see you, Ibingo, let me see. I see you, ID. Yeah, I hope I'm getting all the names. Yeah, I see you, Tessie. I see you, Antoniko, you're on YouTube and on Zoom at the same time. I see you, Auntie Bukalati. Thank you so much for being here tonight. God bless you. Good night. Thank you, Jane. Thank you so much. Thank you. God bless you all. See ya. So remember, bootcamp registration, you send the word camp to that WhatsApp number. For picnic, you send picnic to that WhatsApp number. For what else? For the squad, you send the word I want, and we'll send you all the details that you need. Thank you, and God bless you. Good night.
Hi, Ronnie.